Hi, how are you? Oh, look at that hairdo. Oops, don't be jealous. You too can have this. All right, I have some big news for you. So first I'm gonna read you this breaking tidbit and then we're gonna go back and see what it's all about. So this came just last night. So this came out Friday about 6:42 p.m. That's how breaking this is. And this is from Conclusion at Fox News. This is where I first saw it, and we'll get a little bit deeper into the story here. And he says, breaking, the Trump administration is revoking the legal status and work permits for more than 500,000 migrants who flew into the U.S. via President Biden's controversial CHNV migrant flights mass parole program. In a notice posted online, DHS says migrants who came in via these programs will need to self deport by late April, within 30 days of the policy change going into the Federal Register on March 25th. DHS says they will seek to arrest and deport those who do not leave the country within that 30-day window. Okay. So this the program that means Cuban, Haitian, Nicaraguan, and Venezuela. So essentially, what this was, the Biden administration about 3 years ago, maybe 2 years ago, during the Biden administration, they program that if you were from one of those countries, you could essentially apply to be in this country from your home country. And if approved, which I'm pretty sure everyone was approved, if approved, you could be flown directly into our country and given a 2-year protected status and a work permit. So that was the whole thing. And they let in, oh, yes, around 500,000 people, a little over 500,000 people they brought in our country. So as soon as Trump took office, he ended that program abruptly. So basically, what that meant back in January, obviously, basically what that meant was any pending appointments or any future travel or pending travel, all of that was halted. But that didn't really do anything to the people that were already here. So it seems as though he went even further with that and said, your temporary status is revoked. You have 30 days to self-report, or you will be open to arrest and deportation. So let's look a little bit more in this, and then I'm going to take you back in time and tell you why I think they started this program. So here is a little bit more on it. All right, more than 500,000 migrants who are given humanitarian parole permits to live and work in the U.S. illegally will face potential deportation next month. The Department of Homeland Security said Friday the order applies to about 530,000 people from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela who came to the United States since October of 2022. Okay, so this has been around for about 2 years. As a part of the Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela program, they arrived with financial sponsors and were given a 2-year work permit. Why is Trump deporting these migrants? What they're saying during his campaign, President Donald Trump promised to deport millions of people who are in the U.S. illegally. And as president, he has also been ending legal pathways for immigrants to come to the U.S. and stay. The new policy impacts people who are already in the U.S. and came under the humanitarian parole program. It follows an earlier Trump administration to end what it called the broad abuse of the humanitarian parole, a long-standing legal tool presidents have used to allow people from countries where there's war or political instability to enter and temporarily live in the U.S. Before the new order, the beneficiaries of this program could stay in the U.S. until their parole expires, and in this instance, 2 years. All the administration had stopped processing their applications for asylum, visas, and other requests that might allow them to remain longer. Timeline. Homeland Security Kristi Noem said the migrants will lose their legal status on April 24th, or days after the publication of the notice in the Federal Register. Parolees without a lawful basis to stay in the United States start before their parole term date. Parole is inherently temporary, and parole alone is not an underlying basis for obtaining any immigration status, DHS said. Is the Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Venezuelan program. The backstory. Under the CHNV humanitarian parole program, the Biden admin allowed up to 30,000 people a month from those four countries to come to the United States for 2 years with eligibility to work. It persuaded Mexico to take back the same number of those countries because the U.S. could deport few, if any, to their homes. Cuba generally accepted about one deportation flight a month, while Venezuela and Nicaragua refused to take any. Okay. Obviously, critics are going to say that this is going to cause chaos. On the other side, lawyers and activists raise their voices to denounce the decision. Friday's action is going to cause needless chaos and heartbreak for families and communities across the country. Reckless, cruel, and counterproductive. What's next? The administration decision has already been challenged in federal courts. Duh. Everything they do is going to be challenged. So this drastic of an announcement is for sure going to be challenged. A group of American citizens and immigrants sued the Trump administration for ending humanitarian parole and are seeking to reinstate the programs of the four nationalities. So we'll see what happens there. I am not shocked that this is being challenged in court. Every single thing they do, expect it to be challenged in court, but do not expect the Trump administration to be surprised that it's being challenged in court. They fully expected this. I've heard them talk about this time and time again. But why do I think that this program was started? You're probably not going to be surprised by my take. I don't think this program had anything to do with humanitarian. I don't think so. I think this program had to do with the fact that it was looking really ugly on our border. So this was a way to bring people in that people wouldn't notice. Because let's go back 3 years. What happened? Let's go back to Del Rio, Texas, when we had 12,000 Haitian migrants under a bridge, and this created a lot of talk. These were really, really bad optics. The Biden administration did not want this optics, so they started this program and others where they were just flying people directly in from their countries. And that's what was happening. This is the exact same reason that they stopped the DNA testing. It was the same reason, because it was taking too much time. It was clogging up the border. This is the same reason that social workers and people that were working with migrant children were getting kids out to sponsors as quickly as possible. Sponsors that didn't have a legit address. Sponsors that were taking in like 10 to 15 kids. Sponsors that these kids were not related to. And then we were losing all of these kids because they didn't want the optics of all of these kids in these shelters. Just like they didn't want the optics of all of these people crowding the border. Let's go back a few years.
13,000 migrants are living under the Del Rio International Bridge. President Biden says he'll start sending the mostly Haitian asylum seekers back to Haiti as early as tomorrow. And the Coast Guard has already moved more than 2,000 migrants to different checkpoints. Many are survivors from last month's earthquake and are seeking asylum. Families have pitched tents under the International Bridge, Del Rio. Mexican authorities have kicked Haitians off buses, but they continue towards the border on foot. The situation is expected to get worse before it gets better.
By air, we get to see the size of the crowd crammed under the Del Rio International Bridge. From the ground, a look at the living conditions. Tents made out of trash bags or dried palm leaves are the only protection from today's triple-digit heat.
Our agents are outnumbered.
Raul Ortiz, a native of Del Rio, leads the U.S. Border Patrol. He just walked through this camp today.
We've never seen a migrant population explode so quickly on the immediate border area like we saw over the last 72 hours. We've got roughly over 13,000 migrants from various demographics.
Most are from Haiti. The Associated Press following their journey through the jungles of South and Central America. Haitians are fleeing their unstable country. Political turmoil and a decade of natural disasters have wiped away infrastructure, resources, and jobs. Tonight, the U.S. government has temporarily closed the Del Rio border bridge. People will need to drive an hour away to Eagle Pass in order to cross in and out of the U.S. It's the latest attempt to funnel more federal agents to this camp. Buses are coming too.
We're going to be running these buses 24/7, and I'm confident that, within the next 3 to 4 days, we can make a serious dent in the population.
Local leaders are hopeful. With more than 13,000 migrants staged less than 2 miles from town, there's fear of a stampede or riot.
From my perspective, we need to do everything we can to manage the safety and security of the migrants.
So this is what was happening at the border before they started these programs. And here's the thing. What's happening, we've seen the effects of this for the past few years. Towns like Springfield, Ohio, where their population went up thousands. Charleroi, Pennsylvania, where their population went up thousands. Even small towns in Alabama. And what's actually happening to these migrants when they get here is these companies are basically hiring them for very cheap wages. They even have vans that go out and pick them up and take them to work. Landlords, greedy landlords, are allowing them to live like 10 deep in an apartment. And Americans are being priced out of jobs in these towns. They're being priced out of homes, out of living situations, because if you have 10 deep in one apartment, you can charge a lot more for rent. So you'll have people that have grown up in these towns that are actually being priced out of these small towns because of this. And it's causing issues. When you bring, and here's the thing, like anyone that's appalled by mass deportation, I understand. I'm pro-immigrant, just like a lot of us are. It's not about pro or anti-immigrant. It's about sustainability, and this is not sustainable. And we've already seen issues with this. Springfield, Charleroi, even Alabama. And those are just ones I know of off the top of my head. They brought in too many people at once. You can't do that to any 500,000 people in 2 years, you guys. 500,000 people in 2 years. Where are they going to go? What kind of jobs are they going to have? Well, we've seen this. It's not working. And anyone that is maybe against mass deportation, then look at the Biden administration. Look no further than them. They completely abuse these programs. They completely abuse their authority. And we know the real reason why they're bringing people in. They're filling the voter rolls. That's exactly what they're doing. They're putting a lot of people in swing states, and they are filling the voter rolls. That's why you'll see, for instance, in Colorado, what they're doing right now. They're passing legislation right now to lower the standards of illegal immigrants to get driver's licenses under the guise of safety. It's going to make the roads safer. Oh, really? Lowering standards to obtain a driver's license is going to make the roads safer? And you can even use expired documents in Colorado now. If you're an illegal immigrant, you can use an expired document if you're an illegal immigrant to get a driver's license. But guess what else happens when you go to the DMV and you get a driver's license? Oh, they'll register you to vote. So that's what this has been about. And it's honestly taken me just in the past few months to even say that with such confidence, but there's so much evidence that that is exactly what they were doing. So this wasn't about humanitarian anything. This was about securing Democrat votes and filling those voter rolls. This is exactly why they wanted no voter ID. This is exactly why they wanted to expand all of the voting laws. This is why. It all leads to the same conclusion. That's what they're doing. So, those that are fighting back against Trump, those that don't think this is humane, those that don't think this is humane, blame the Biden administration. They were so reckless with the border. They let too many people in. It's not sustainable. And it is what it is. So, and hey, if this program started 2 years ago, and they had 2 years of their protected status, then for a large number of these people, it's about up anyway, and they have 30 days. So there you go. That's what's happening. That's the news. So we'll see what happens. I don't know how this is going to play out. We'll watch this get challenged in court, how that's going to go. I'm not shocked it's being challenged in court. I fully expect everything they do to get challenged in court. But yeah, that's an interesting development. And we'll see what happens with that. What this looks like come April. All right. Thank you all. Have a good day. Bye.